What's going on? It's Saturday, June 6th, and there's actually a lot to talk about. We're going to start with severe weather, day 1 risk, day 2 risk. We also have a Tuesday and Wednesday slight risk already for portions of the northern plains and upper Midwest. We're watching multiple days of excessive rainfall risks. You can see 3 days of slight, and then as we get into next week, we have those marginal risks for portions of the plains as well. We're looking at the tropics. We have Tropical Storm Amanda out there in the Pacific. We have 2 other areas of disturbance off the coast of Central America in the Pacific that could undergo tropical cyclogenesis within the next 48 hours. We could have potentially 2 or 3 tropical cyclones on our hand as we move into the beginning of next week. We're also watching the Gulf. You can see here the GFS thinks we could have a Category 2 or Category 3 hurricane on our hands off the coast of Central America, potentially as early as next Monday or Tuesday, and it's throwing some convection up into the Gulf as well. We'll see if this tries to wrap up into a tropical cyclone as we approach the end of next week. Right now, it doesn't look like much. There's still not a ton of model consensus, but there is some tropical moisture moving up into the Gulf. The waters are warm, and there may be a window for development, potentially off the coast of Florida, could be a little bit further to the west. Like I said, still some time, but the models are picking up, and they have been picking up this disturbance moving up into the Gulf next week. We're also going to talk about some cooler temperatures making their way across the country, potentially as we move into the middle of June. The plains, northern Rockies, upper Midwest may get a nice cool down. All right, so clearly there's a lot to go over, so let's get started. Here's our severe weather risk zones today. Marginal and slight risk for portions of the northern plains up here. You can see portions of Montana, northern Wyoming, northwestern South Dakota, and then western North Dakota. Now, if we break down these risk zones, we do have a small tornado threat up here for portions of northeastern Montana and northwestern South Dakota, just to 2%, but make sure you have your weather alerts on up here today. I am going to break down these severe risk zones a little bit more later on in the video. Right now, I just want to go over what the risk zones are. We have a wind risk zone up here as well, 5 to 15% with that SIG 1, meaning we could see damaging winds up to hurricane strength or damaging gusts up to hurricane strength, 74 miles per hour or stronger, potentially 80 mile per hour winds or stronger up in this region that is hatched. We also have a hail threat up here. Simple 5 to 15% threat for hail. Not likely to be too large, but 1 to 2 inch hail is definitely possible. Breaking down our severe threat out here through portions of the Midwest up through the Mid-Atlantic and New England. Large marginal to slight risk. Tornado threat still in the same area as it was yesterday. Northern peninsula of West Virginia, central to eastern Ohio, and then central to western PA. So make sure if you're out in this region today, again, you keep your alerts on. It is possible to get a few tornadoes out in this area. And then for our damaging wind threat today, you can see we have a 5, 15, and 30% chance for some damaging winds from strong to severe thunderstorms moving through this region. Pittsburgh, out through State College, Harrisburg, Allentown, Scranton, all the way up through Albany, Binghamton. You guys need to make sure you're paying attention and you know what's going on in your area today. Our hail threat, simple 5 to 15% risk for hail today. Now getting into day 2, our threat moves up into our severe threat is mainly focused up here through portions of the northern plains, potentially upper Midwest. You can see marginal and slight risk. Small tornado threat up there, north central North Dakota. There's your 5 to 15% wind threat. And then we actually do have a 5 to 15% hail threat tomorrow as well with that SIG 1 attached to it, meaning we could see hail larger than 2 to 3 inches through portions of northwestern South Dakota and then central North Dakota. Now, there are some other risk zones tomorrow, small marginal down here through portions of eastern Oklahoma and western Arkansas. That does come with a tornado threat. So we will be watching the skies tomorrow. Make sure you have your alerts on out there if you're in eastern Oklahoma, western Arkansas. No wind, no hail threat. Interesting. There's no wind or hail threat when there's a 2% tornado threat. I think that might change. And then we do have a small marginal out here through portions of eastern Virginia and the mid-Atlantic region tomorrow as well. Just a small wind threat. Now, I want to break those down more, but we do still have this day 4 slight, day 5 slight. And I was looking at the models earlier. This could be the most aggressive day I've seen this year so far with severe weather. Up here through portions of the Dakotas and Minnesota, potentially, as you can see, Iowa, Wisconsin involved in this as well. But the 500 millibar jet stream, the 850 millibar jet stream, so our LLJ and then that mid-level jet is cranking through this region as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm expecting there to be a lot of instability, and it's definitely a concerning look for Tuesday and Wednesday. So I'll try to break this down a little bit more later on in the video. Now I want to talk about our excessive rainfall threat. And you can see day 1, day 2, day 3. We're going to start out here in the plains, and this excessive rainfall threat is going to slowly begin to move its way east through the Ohio Valley and Midwest. And you can see here, continues to move its way east. We get the northern plains, upper Midwest involved again as we get into Tuesday. And then Wednesday, that begins to move east again, getting the central plains and Midwest involved again there. So just a ton of rainfall for the central U.S., then out there through the Ohio Valley. This is the latest from the National Blend. You can see the Pacific Northwest is expected to pick up a ton of rainfall over the next 7 days. Up here through the northern Rockies, northern plains and upper Midwest, we could see a lot. The Ohio Valley, Midwest here. And look at this. Portions of Kentucky, Missouri, Oklahoma, a ton of rainfall in the forecast here. Southern Florida could receive a lot of rainfall, especially the Keys, and then areas of southern Alabama, Mississippi, and then around the New Orleans area could receive a lot as well. The Houston area, southeastern Texas could be seeing a decent amount of rainfall. So the areas that don't look like they're going to see much precipitation at all over the next 7 days, desert Southwest, and then up and down the East Coast, this is really not much. This is about a sprinkle of rain. All right, so I quickly now want to move over to, I want to talk about the tropics. We do still have Tropical Storm Amanda. It's pretty weak. It's expected to fall apart. It's moving into a more unfavorable environment for strengthening, so that should be kind of out of our hair soon. We do have this area right here off the coast of Mexico. It has a 70% chance of developing into a tropical cyclone over the next 48 hours. And this region, Pacific Disturbance number 2, has a 50% chance of going through tropical cyclogenesis and becoming a tropical cyclone over the next 2 days, and a 60% chance over the next 7 days. Let's take a look at the satellite here real quick. You can see we have a little bit, and let me actually pull up our outlook as well, our tropical outlook. You can see this is going to be our disturbance number 1 that could attempt to go through TCG, or tropical cyclogenesis, within the next 48 hours and become a tropical cyclone. This is definitely starting to get itself together much more than it was before. This was looking very sloppy even just yesterday. And then our disturbance area number 2 is right here. Not really seeing much. There is a little bit of spin now. There's actually a low pressure right here. You can see some rotation in the clouds here. This looks like a little bit of a low pressure as well right here. Some rotation in the atmosphere there as well. So we'll see kind of what ends up becoming of this disturbance too. But just 2 more areas we're watching. And again, if we go to the modeling, it does look like both of these, right now at least, the model guidance suggests that both of these will become tropical cyclones. Now I want to take a look at what could happen in the Gulf, because there's some people talking about a potential tropical system entering the Gulf here really as soon as the end of next week. Here's the latest GFS. You can see this is really just about 50 hours out. We're starting to see potentially both of these tropical disturbance areas attempting to become tropical cyclones here off the coast of Central America over there in the Pacific. And then as we move forward in time, this northern one, disturbance 1, doesn't really want to get its act together on the latest GFS, but the southern one down here, tropical disturbance 2, this is only about 100 hours out. This would be getting into next Wednesday. This could end up being a Category 2, Category 3 hurricane potentially. So something to watch, especially if you're down there in Central America. Now, moving forward, we do start to see, as we get into the middle of next week, an area of convection moving its way north into the Gulf, potentially into the eastern portion of the Gulf. And the latest GFS guidance does have this low deepening down to about 1,000 millibars. This could end up being a tropical depression, maybe even a tropical storm. Still too early. We need a little bit more time to assess this, of course, and we need some model consensus. I'd say pay attention to it if you're along these Gulf states. It's possible. We know we have tropical moisture floating up into that region. And again, the waters are warm enough. And I do think there will be a small time frame where there is actually some possible strengthening that could occur, where the wind shear lightens up a little bit, and, you know, this system could try to wrap itself up. So again, nothing to really be too concerned about right now. It's too far out, not a ton of model consensus, but that moisture is likely heading up into the Gulf. All right, the next thing I really quickly wanted to cover before we break down the severe weather today, tomorrow, and then for Tuesday and Wednesday is I wanted to show you guys what's happening with our temperatures. Here's the latest Climate Prediction Center temperature outlook. Cooler conditions expected in the 6 to 10 day forecast here, or 6 to 10 day outlook range from June 11th to June 15th, up there through portions of the northern plains, central to northern Rockies as well. But we're going to be steaming in the east. We're going to be hot across the Ohio Valley, especially up there, Great Lakes region and inner New England, and along the Pacific West Coast. Now, getting into June 13th through June 19th, this is the 8 to 14 day outlook. Those cooler temperatures are making their way towards the center of the U.S. You can see here central to northern plains, upper Midwest, still the northern Rockies, a nice cool down, but we're still warm along the East Coast and the West Coast. Precipitation-wise, we're expected to see above average precipitation for much of the country moving forward here through the month of June, except for it could be very, very dry out there along the West Coast. And remember, we're going to be hot along the West Coast as well. So hot and dry conditions expected as an average overall over the next 2 to 3 weeks along the West Coast. All right, now I want to break down our severe weather. Let's go straight into the HRRR. All right, so let's break down the severe weather today. And I did want to remind you, first, we're going to talk about day 1. So a little bit of a threat up there in the northern plains. Down here, small marginal southern plains, and then through the Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, and New England. Go into our latest HRRR. Let's start by taking a look at the 500 millibar jet stream. You can see we have a pretty decent jet streak up there through portions of the northern plains. Some nice flow out here as well, kind of northwesterly, westerly flow through the Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, New England, and then we have kind of this upper level low spinning down here at the 500 millibar level in the southern plains. We take a look at the 850 millibar level. There we go. This definitely makes sense. We only have a marginal down here, but we have a slight up here and a slight up here. Our 850 millibar or our low-level jet is definitely cranking a little bit harder in the northern plains, Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, New England than it is down there in the southern plains. And this also makes sense why we have a tornado threat up in this region through portions of central to eastern Ohio and central to western PA, because we do have some stronger low-level winds. Now, getting into, let's take a look at our instability today. So I'm going to go to our mixed layer Cape. And of course, this time of year, we're going to have a lot of instability. This looks like we're pushing 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram of Cape out here through the Midwest and then up there to the Northeast. A lot of instability up here in the northern plains, especially for this region, through the Dakotas and then eastern Montana, and a good amount of instability as well down there in Texas. Taking a look at our significant tornado parameter, you can see where most of these are showing up today, and this is where our tornado threat is today. I might take a sounding out of here really quickly. Let me request that. This is actually not too great of a sounding, not a ton of storm relative helicity or shear. Let's move this forward a little bit and see if I can get a better sounding. So this sounding, again, honestly, not the most impressive sounding, a little bit more SRH there. There's instability, tiny bit of curve in that photograph, but honestly, not the most concerning look out here. Is it possible to see a tornado out here today? Yes, I can see why it's only a 2%. These aren't the most threatening looking soundings. Not a ton of rotational shear. I'm not seeing a ton of SRH. Overall, there's instability there. There's the possibility for a tornado today. So keep your alerts on, but not the most concerning thing I've ever seen out there. Let's go into the timing today. And as we get into around, I would say 4 p.m., you start to see some of these additional cells firing off across portions of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, western PA. We push a little bit further into 5, 6, and then this is where you really start to see this kind of line setting up, like it's trying to connect and become a QLCS here. So all the way from northern Missouri through Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, PA, southeastern upstate New York, and then up there through Vermont up towards New Hampshire. This is around 6 o'clock. You start to get this line forming where we could see some damaging wind, hail, and again, maybe a few tornadoes. Then pushing into 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, this really starts to fall apart. Again, doesn't look too threatening today. Those storms up in the northern plains could start to really intensify, I would say, at around 8 or 9 p.m. And then for our marginal down in the southern plains, not seeing much, but if you do get some strong thunderstorms today, probably going to be more around that 3, 4, 5, 6 p.m. time frame. Let's push into day 2. And let me remind you what our day 2 threat is. Here we go. We're watching the northern plains, a little bit of a marginal down here, Oklahoma and Arkansas, and then out there through portions of the mid-Atlantic. So we go back to our model here. Watching the northern plains, does look like this is going to be a mid to late evening threat. You can see these storms beginning to fire off across portions of the Dakotas, really as we get into around 6, 7, 8 o'clock. So could start earlier in the evening and then really intensify as we get into the middle of the evening tomorrow. Again, not too big of a threat. I'm not too worried about today or tomorrow, really. But if you're in a risk zone, make sure you're paying attention. Make sure you have those alerts on. What I really want to talk about, and I feel like I should have talked about this in the beginning of the video, but let's push over to the GFS here. And I want to show you what we could be looking at as we get into next Tuesday and Wednesday. Let's go to the 500 millibar jet stream. Here's Tuesday. Now, this is that classic southwesterly flow that we worry about during tornado season and severe weather season. And this starts to look pretty nice as we get into Tuesday evening here. Strong jet streak, and you can actually see these kinks in our isobar. So we have some short waves developing across the Dakotas. Strong jet streak there. And then if we take a look at our 850 millibar, lining up pretty good here. A nice southerly flow into that 500 millibar southwesterly flow. A lot of shear. And here's your upper level low spinning right there. We could see a significant tornado threat, I think, on Tuesday and Wednesday up here. This is definitely going to bring with it a lot of instability. Let me actually just pull that up really quickly. We'll just take a look at surface-based Cape. Look at this. I mean, we're talking about 4,000 to 5,000 joules per kilogram up here in the northern plains. They're not perfectly kind of matched up, but we have some time to see how these parameters are going to adjust. But a lot of instability on top of very strong shear and very significant directional shear. So a concerning look for this upcoming Tuesday. Like I said, though, there's time for this to uptrend. There's also time for this to downtrend. So let me actually get back into that 500 millibar, and let's push into the next day here as well. This would be getting into Wednesday, and Wednesday looks very impressive to me. So Wednesday, getting into Wednesday evening, look at this jet streak that develops. look at this jet stream. This is a significant southwesterly flow across the northern plains and upper Midwest. And then we take a look at the 850 millibar. You have some significant winds as well at the low level. And then we'll go to our instability here as well. Once again, significant. We're talking about 4,000 to 5,000 joules per kilogram. So we could see potentially not just a severe weather outbreak, but we could see potentially a few strong tornadoes. I'm talking about EF3 plus tornado potential as we get into next Tuesday and Wednesday, depending on what happens. Like I said, this could still downtrend and completely be a bust, and it could be, honestly, we could see not that much next Tuesday or Wednesday, or it could uptrend. As it looks right now, with the latest model guidance, and this is just looking at the GFS, but right now it looks like it could be the most significant severe weather days of the year for the northern plains and the upper Midwest. So let's just see what happens. Let's pay attention. If you're up there, Minneapolis, that's where I live. That's the largest city that may be involved with these 2 severe weather days, but Wisconsin could be, we could get Des Moines, Omaha, depending on kind of if this jet stream decides to amplify a little bit more and dig a little bit further south into the states. We could see that severe risk zone actually dig down a little bit further south, that tornado threat dig down a little bit further south. But next Tuesday and Wednesday, it looks interesting. So I'm going to keep my eyes on that, and I'm going to keep you guys updated. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. If you like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're notified anytime that I upload new videos or anytime I live stream. I am going to try to live stream later today to answer all of your weather related questions. I also run an awesome weather Discord, almost 700 weather enthusiasts in there, trying to get 1,000 people in there. I update it every day with all the stuff that I talk about in this video, anything from the tropics to severe weather to winter weather. All the latest updates are in there every single day. You can click the link right down below in the description to join my Discord for free, or you can just add me on Discord, Connor's Climate Corner. I will accept your invite and I will make you a part of the climate crew. Again, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video, or I'll see you in the next live stream. Enjoy your weekend. See you guys.